Hi, I'm Meaghan Chitwood, and welcome to From Overlooked to Consistently Booked. I help business owners and sales professionals build strong, effective referral networks so they don't have to chase business because it comes to them. Each week, we break down what actually makes people refer you, trust you, and talk about you. This week, we are talking about why people think I like you, but I can't refer you, with Gayge of Tracer Strategy Marketing. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you, Meaghan.
I'm so excited to have you.
I'm really happy to be here, and I just enjoy having conversation with you anyway. So
awesome. I appreciate that so much. So I want to talk to you first about why people have such a hard time identifying who is their ideal client.
I think there's honestly two reasons for that. First, people don't like to niche down so much they're going to be too exclusive, which means they get nobody buying whatever they're selling, service or product. So they feel like I'm going to just not capture anyone. So then they go the other extreme and they want to sell to everyone. So they don't have any specific in-between sweet spot where they're speaking to that right person at the right time because they can't actually describe that and identify it in a way that they're confident about.
But nobody gets business when they're talking to everyone.
Correct.
So where's the disconnect, right? Where's the disconnect to get people to say, this isn't working because I'm casting too wide of a net. Mm-hmm. So let me at least niche down.
Yeah. I feel like when I have conversations with either prospects, clients, or honestly, even going to the farmer's market, and I get this question, it's really about uncertainty and sharing that the value of clarity is tremendous. So when you're clear and when you know what you're aiming at, as my sniper husband would say, and I hope this is okay. Yeah. So my husband is a former United States Marine Scout sniper, and they are few and far between nowadays. But he has this phrase that he shared with me, and the first time he shared it with me, I said, that's it. That's the best way to explain this. And he says, aim small, miss small. So if you're aiming at a very specific singular target, it's unlikely you're going to miss it. And if you're aiming at a bigger target and you're not really sure where you're aiming for within that bigger target, you're more likely to miss the target. So that's part of their training. And I found that when I share that with people, first there's a head tilt, like, I'm not sure I quite understand that. But then I say, if you're going looking for anything out in the world and you're not clear what you're looking for, do you typically find it? Not really. So I think another good example is, and this can apply to any business, we're currently house hunting. Mm-hmm. And we just met our realtor. We're not originally from here. And we weren't very clear about what we were looking for. So we started to look at all these houses. Now, one, it was a kind of a waste of time. And two, it was very frustrating and kind of heartbreaking. Now that we're very clear about what we're looking for, and even honestly in my role today as a marketer, even in this room speaking to you, I got a little anxious about being so specific. But now we know exactly what we're looking for, and our realtor can now help us in the best way possible to find that perfect home for us. So I can ascribe that analogy to any business owner. Just get really specific about what you're looking for, and you will reap the rewards of that.
So I think it's probably more psychology, right?
Yeah,
than it is
there's
anything,
a lot. Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, what if nobody knows that person, or what if I never find that person? So is there a way that you've somehow figured out how to just get people to do it?
Yeah, I say rather than getting scientific or overly jargony, which is just the language that you speak in your particular industry, I say to them, describe to me the perfect person that you've already sold to or currently serve. Tell me everything about them. And then that light bulb moment happens. They say, oh, that's easy. It's this and that and the other thing. And about 30 minutes later, we have so much information. And in my marketing brain, I'm saying this was all the data that I needed. And then the next question is, how do we attract more of those people?
Yep.
How do we find more of them? Another way that I ask that other question in the same way is, if we could clone your best client, what would they look like? All the way around, like 360 degrees. And that's everything from, I say, look at them from the ground up sometimes. Mm-hmm. What shoes are they wearing? Are they in a particular yoga pant, jean, dress pant? Like, and you kind of see like the little concern. And I say, just trust the process and I will help you assess this properly. And the outcome is going to be phenomenal. And you'll say to me, you're right, that's actually the perfect person for me to sell to. So that's how we do it.
So I attempt to do this with new BNI members. You're clearly better at it than I am. Now, we have approximately like 15 minutes to get it done. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you're taking a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
But I literally say, describe your favorite customer, and I get 30 to 60 years old. Like, right? And I'm like, no. Like your favorite person, like your favorite, like picture them in your mind's eye. Mm-hmm. And they just have such a hard time with it.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes if I can't get to it or I'm in that situation, I'll say, tell me what they say about what it was like to work with you. Tell me what they say when they're done using the thing you sold them. Tell me what they say when they've gifted somebody that thing, that perfect thing. And then when you ask somebody to describe something, an emotion, an experience, an engagement, what they said, you can also kind of bring those reins in and help them more readily identify who that perfect person is.
Do you feel like they then get it and then they're using it?
No.
Or do you feel like, okay,
nope.
Say more about that?
It is a process. It's a repetition, because that embodied cognition, to use like a psychological term, but that everyday embodied experience that we have, that repetition of commonality, familiarity, even if familiarity isn't a good thing for you, we still default to it as humans, right? So what I say is, sometimes you have to remind yourself who that person is, or give yourself a cue card, or come back to it if you feel like you're steering off the chosen path. But then there's a little bit of a it depends caveat to that, because once you identify that ideal person or that perfect person, you're going to find that there may be variations on that person, and that's what we call segments in marketing. Okay. So I have a great example of this with an actual client, Iron City Biomechanics. So he was really struggling with this same thing. So he came to me and we walked him through an ideal client profile workshop, which is the perfect person workshop. Yeah. So once we kind of circled the wagons and really identified the sweet spot for him, I said, is this everyone that you work with that's your best client? And he said, actually, there's a couple of different people. I don't know if they're truly different or they're just different types of the same thing. I said, well, let's go and explore that. So he outlined it for me, and there were in his sweet spot, which is women 40 to 60 who are noticing changes in their bodies and limitations and ways that they move through the world in their everyday lives. And he specified what that looked like for 3 different segments, but they all were really unified under the core perfect person. So that will definitely happen. And I want people to understand that you're not really going off the guardrails when that happens, but you will find that, maybe it's in his group, the 40-something, the 50-something, and the 60-something. And they're similar, but one really wants to go hiking with their dog. The other one's really not a hiker, but spends a lot of time on the tennis court. Yeah. And so similar, but different. And
I could see the 40-year-old woman and the 60-year-old woman having different reasons why they would be pushed into working with someone like him as well, that you could ultimately describe also.
Yes. And the other thing too, this goes a little granular, but maybe helpful, is how long do you want to have your perfect person with you? So some people are transactional, and that's okay. So that's called a one and done, right? But some people are going to spend decades with you. So somebody who enters Naraya's orbit, right, his world, may actually stay with him for 2 decades as things change in their bodies and they still need to make movement improvements because he focuses on movement. He's going to have a long-term client relationship, and we want to make sure we foster that and are inclusive of that in the messaging, so we're priming that brain and your perfect person to say, oh, this isn't a one and done. I'm not just going to have a magic bullet solution to making myself move better. It's a journey and a process, and they're understanding that at the start. So they're going to travel throughout a time period with this person.
Which I often say is that is the better person, right?
That's a great person.
Because they are going to be repeat business, but they're
Yes.
also going to refer people because if they've been with you for 10 years, they obviously believe in what you have going on. So when we're playing the long game,
Yeah.
that's the ideal. Like
Yes.
the transaction's great, but
Right.
you will ask hey, can you help my mom feel better? But then you've got this is the person. In fact, it's funny because my friend Hazel Walker, she works with someone like him, as you were talking about. And her whole thing is, I need to be able to move better to reduce falls in my future, right? To be able to hike,
Yep.
How do I get over a log? I mean, she's thought about all those things because she doesn't want to grow old.
Yeah. Or
enable.
she wants to grow old actively,
Yes.
right? Actively engage in moving through the world instead of just being stuck.
Yeah. Remember, referrals don't come from chasing, they come from connection. And when you build the right network, business follows. Next week, we're talking about why you sound like everyone else and how to ultimately be different. If this was helpful, subscribe for more conversations like this. And if you're ready to grow through referrals, check out a BNI chapter near you by going to bni.com. See you next time.